Hey everyone, it's me, Justina. Today, I'm going to be talking about the best stretches that you can be doing for anyone that's having some hip, low back, sciatica issues. Some of the best stretches that you can be doing to try to relieve some of those areas. The hip and sciatica, low back, that's one of the major problems with a lot of people in our society today. It's caused from a lot of sitting. A lot of us are sitting at our desks, so when we're sitting, all these muscles in the front get shortened, those muscles in the back get lengthened and weakened, and that causes pain. And then the ones getting in front get tight, and that's kind of just a downhill spiral from there. So if you can incorporate some of these stretches, that would be great. Of course, if you're watching this, you might already be having those issues. So these stretches will help to hopefully relieve some of that area that is causing you some pain. First thing we're gonna do with the hip stretch, one of my favorites, is figure 4 stretch. You can do this one on a chair actually, or you can do it seated. I will show you seated, and I'll actually come up and show you on the chair as well, just so you kind of know. So first, when we're doing a figure 4 stretch, I wanna come back. So our legs, one leg is gonna be crossing over the opposite here, okay? Kind of in a cross-legged position. Then you can either hang out here, maybe keep a nice straight spine, you're gonna feel that outer hip pull, or you're gonna bring that leg up, making that 4. And as I bring that leg up, I'm starting to feel that outer hip stretch. So I'll just kind of show you the side angle here. I wanna make sure we're not curving at our spine when we do this, right? On our spine, the crown of our head, top of our head is going to the ceiling. So we're gonna straighten that spine out, and then we're gonna lean forward just a little bit. As you do that, you're gonna feel that outer hip stretch. Wanna take a couple deep breaths as you're in these stretches. You can hold them longer than I'm doing today. Make it your own, making sure that spine's nice and straight, kind of checking in with it. I noticed I even started to slouch. I want to kind of check in. Good, go ahead and switch. Now, I'll have you guys switch if you're on the floor. I'm gonna show you what it is on the chair. So I'm gonna do the opposite leg in the chair. What we're gonna do is just a cross-legged stretch. So you're gonna bring just one leg, cross it over. If you're able to bring it above the knee, great. Again, we're gonna be getting into that figure 4 stretch, kind of a cross-legged stretch. My shin is over on the top of my knee here. Same thing, spine stays nice and straight. And what you can do is just lean forward. If you're on the floor, hang out there, stretching that opposite hip. Couple breaths here. Want to try to release what is tight with every exhale. Try to get that mind to relax that muscle, especially when it's an area that's super tight. Maybe it's really bothering you today. Just try to breathe through it, doing what you can. A little bit of stretching is going to be way better than no stretching here today. Awesome. Go ahead and release. What we're gonna do next is just a nice low back stretch. One of my favorites is the side stretch. You can do this one again, you could be seated, maybe Indian style on the floor. I will show you while in a chair. You can actually do this one standing as well. So as we're in the chair, we're gonna take one hand, put it above our head. A couple different ways. We can just stay here, and we're just gonna reach over while trying to keep this hip on the chair, right? We don't want that hip coming up like this. We're just gonna reach over. You're gonna feel a stretch all the way down the side into that low back. Even if you want to, you can clasp your hands or grab your wrist. Feeling even more of a side stretch here. Good. And go ahead, release, and switch to the opposite side. You're gonna hopefully, as you feel that pull, you're gonna feel it all the way down to that low back, releasing what's tight. Awesome, good. Go ahead, relax that. Next, what we're gonna do a seated 90-90 stretch. And I'm also gonna show you, which is a hip flexor stretch, and I'm also gonna show you another hip flexor stretch on the floor, which are my 2 favorite hip flexor stretches. There's a couple other ones that you can do. The hip flexor is in front. If you don't know what the hip flexor is, it attaches in front. It's a muscle that's kind of deep within kind of the front area of the hip, kind of connects to the groin, connects to the outside. So this area, this muscle can be a culprit for a lot of people's hip issues and sciatica issues and low back issues. So it's very important. This is the muscle that gets shortened as we sit a lot. So we want to make sure we're trying to open up and stretch that out. It's going to cause forward posture with a lot of people. So it's very important to kind of open that up and get it stretched out for anyone, because a lot of us, 80% of us probably already have, I know I already have the rounded shoulders going on. So we just want to focus on opening up the entire front here. So we want to be on a chair here if we're doing the chair. We want to have one leg off of the chair. One leg's going to be on the chair, making sure we're cockeyed to the chair. We don't want to be in front here like this. We want to kind of twist away. All right, so next we're going to drop this leg here into about 90 degrees, so 90, 90. Then we're going to twist our hips. We're going to pivot our hips. So as we come into this, our hips naturally want to turn out. We want to turn them back so they're parallel and square with each other. So I'm going to try to actively push this hip forward. I'm going to try to pull this hip back. Even that adjustment, I can feel my hip flexor already try to light up here. Next, if you can just stay here, take a couple breaths if you feel that front hip flexor opening. Or we can squeeze our glutes. You want to squeeze your glutes, squeeze your core, and lunge forward just a little bit, trying to even, I like to kind of push just so I feel myself go forward, feeling that hip flexor. Awesome, good. Feel free to hold it for a little bit longer even if you want, but I'm going to switch over to the other side. So one leg is back into 90 and off of the chair. One leg is on here into 90. Again, we're going to pivot. If our hips are out, we just want to pivot forward, pushing this hip forward, pulling that hip back. Feeling that hip flexor. Hang out here or squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core, lunge forward just a little bit. Doesn't look like I'm moving forward a lot because that's not an area that you're going to come forward a lot if you're feeling that muscle work and stretch. Typically it's tight for a lot of us. Couple breaths. Okay, you can hang out and do that stretch again, or I'm going to show whoever wants to come to the floor for another hip flexor stretch. This is a runner's lunge. I love this stretch. So when we're doing this, want to have one knee down, one leg is up. Now if you need a pad, anything on that side, feel free to grab that for that knee, okay? First thing we're gonna do, we want to, again, our hips are opening out, we wanna square them up. So I'm gonna pull this hip back, press this hip forward so they're nice and square, okay? Then what we're gonna do, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the core. We're gonna lunge forward just a little bit, keeping those hips square. We don't wanna twist out like this, keeping those hips square. Coming forward, we're gonna feel that open up. All right, next, we're gonna hinge back, keeping this straight leg here. Toes are gonna come up, legs nice and straight. You can put your hands next to you, or you can keep them on your hip, grow them down the leg, just do not press backwards on your knee as you do this. And coming forward, nice straight leg for hamstring stretch. Hamstrings can also be a cause of a lot of low back pain or hip pain. If the hamstrings are tight, it's going to pull on our hips and kind of rotate them back and puts lots of pressure on our back, puts lots of pressure on our hips. So we want to make sure our hamstrings are being loosened as well. Good. Coming up, you can kind of make little leg circles, noticing the hip kind of feels good. And switch. So again, making sure those hips are nice and square. Coming down to that knee and coming forward. Hips are square. Not opening up like this, nice and squared. Awesome, then we're gonna hinge back, toes are gonna come up, legs nice and straight, reaching down, nice hamstring stretch now. Awesome work. Go ahead, come up, maybe make little hip circles out of that knee, feeling that hip joint open up. And back. Okay, next what we're going to do, if you weren't able to get to the floor with that hamstring stretch, we still want to stretch those hamstrings out. Simple hamstring stretch you can do this either with a chair or you can do it without a chair. Is we're just going to do a simple toe touch. So we're trying to reach down, or you can even have the wall. If you need a little bit of support with the wall in front of you, that's fine. Or be able to come down to the chair here, keeping those legs nice and straight. Trying to collapse down, trying to reach for those toes, keeping those legs nice and straight. I want to make sure we're not bouncing if we're doing this. I want to make sure we're not doing that because that's hard on our joints and ligaments to do that. Let the head hang, just feeling the opening up in our hamstrings. Awesome work. I'm gonna show you one last stretch here that can open up the outer hip if you weren't able to do on sitting or on the floor. Standing IT band stretch. So this one, you might want to be next to the wall if you have issues with balance. So what we're going to do is take one leg, wrap it back and around us, okay? I'll show you kind of the side angle. So taking that leg, wrapping it back around us, all right? And then what we want to do is press our weight into the hip of the leg that's behind us, not our hip that's in front, our hip that's behind us. You'll feel that outer half, especially if you have some sciatica. You're gonna feel that wake up. It might be tingling a little bit. That's okay. Press in through that hip. If you want, you can add in a nice side stretch, opening up the entire area. Good. Go ahead and switch. So twisting the leg back around us, right? We're sticking out that hip here. Feeling the weight, the leg that's behind us, not the leg that's in front, leg that's behind us. My left leg is behind me. I'm gonna press my weight into my left hip. If you want, add in that side stretch. Good. So those are my favorite stretches, ones I always refer people, my massage therapy clients, personal training clients, anyone, if they're having low back, hip, sciatica, any pain like that. These are the main stretches I refer them to. So feel free, you can come on here and kind of follow this video whenever you're having those issues. Add this into maybe after your workout if you want to get more of a hip, if you really did a hip extensive workout that day. It's a great one just to kind of refer back to and work on those stretches. And especially if you're having some sciatica pain, some acute pain going on in the hips, great video as well to follow along with to try to get some of those stretches and get that area loosened up for you. I hope you've enjoyed this. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks everyone.